I should be ashamed for what you've done to me. It's only happened because I let it be, but no more.
Hey guys, it's Spectre again, and I have the privilege to be sitting with the singer backup dancers from the Crxshadows. We have Jessica and our newest addition, Jenne. We're going to start with you and ask a little bit about your background.
I've been dancing since I was 4, and I started in tap dancing, and it's probably my favorite dance form. But I'm also classically trained in ballet and I study modern. And I need dance, like I need air, and I love to dance.
You just want to dance.
I do, I really do. And I found out that they were looking for a dancer through a friend, and I emailed and went to see them in the club and just emailed and said, I really want to audition. I really want to audition. And I had to break out of my tap dancerness, but there's a lot of ballet in what we do, so I really fall back on all of the training that I got.
Do you wear split sole taps when you tap?
Of course. No, I'm a toe stand girl. Of course I wear split soles.
That's one of the reasons why I started listening to the Crxshadows initially, was because I had seen a video of Sarah Hollis, sorry. And I quit dance because in college I realized I was never going to be a prima ballerina because I'm kind of big. Yeah. Anyway, never really saw anyone doing pas de deux, which for those of you who don't know is dance of two, and that's something you have to be able to really do to be a principal dancer in a classical type of company, really. Especially if you want to be a prima, but nobody's lifted my big butt off the ground, and I never really felt like, of all the years I did dance, I was like, this isn't really my music. It's not really my style. It's not really my clothing. And I loved what I did, but I got to a point where I was like, I really want to be able to do things that I like instead of doing just everything other people like. And somebody suggested I check out a video of Sarah, and I was like, wow. And I've been an insufferable fangirl of the Crxshadows ever since. So I know you've been dancing forever, Jessica, so what you talking about?
I started dancing before I can really remember, so I think I was about 2 and a half. My parents actually put me in dance because of a hip problem that I have, a genetic hip problem. Not sure exactly how you would tag it, but basically I was pigeon-toed. And the doctor said, outside of just the corrective shoes and leg braces that normally wear, put her in dance, it'll help her turn out and start to walk normal. So that's actually how I started dancing. So they put me in ballet, and there's a little bit of tap involved, but I think that was the ballet teacher's way of keeping the little 3-year-olds, interested. So I know about shuffle step. That's it. It's a little shuffle step. That's all I know that's happening anymore. But I did ballet all the way through high school and a little bit into my freshman year in college. And I went to college for art, and I got so wrapped up in that world that I really stopped formal training for a while, and didn't really have much of a formal training until I started picking up classes again a few years ago, just to kind of brush up on my technique, because I saw a lot of videos of myself where I felt like I looked really sloppy. That's not how I wanted to present myself on stage. But the majority of my training is in ballet, with some contemporary and modern and some jazz mixed in there. But my first love was always ballet. So.
Mine too, and I just recently got into belly dance, which is a totally different world, and I still catch myself occasionally doing. I would train for so long that I'll have rounded, pushed up, staunched arms, and they're like, no, 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 you know, you need to make it all flowy. And I'm like, but my body doesn't understand. One thing that I really like about the Crxshadows is the fact that there are dancers, because honestly, and I hate to use the term genre, but in our genre, if you want to say, there's not really anything like that. To me, it adds, well, I'm obsessed with dancing, but to me it adds such a creative and artistic element that I think that many, many bands lack.
Well, I think honestly that's kind of a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, a misnomer, I guess to say. There are actually a lot of bands that will have go-go's on stage with them, particularly in this genre. However, that being said, those go-go's are not part of the band. They're not something that happens every single show. It's not something that is given the importance or the validity that the Crxshadows put on our dancers. And I think that's what you're going with that. Like I said, I went to art school. Rogue and I met in college as art students. The Crxshadows is a lot of people look at a band as a project, as this is what I'm doing right now. This is, you know, I make music, and the important thing is just the music, and the performance is a secondary element to that, because it's about getting the music out. Whereas, as artists, Rogue and I both approach something, even if you want to call it a project, like the Crxshadows, as an entire piece. So if you want to look at it like a sculpture, you would look at it like working a sculpture in the round. So rather than working in a three-dimensional space or a two-dimensional space, you're working in every dimension. And so the element of the dancers comes in as completing the natural course of a live performance. So you're hitting every sense that your audience has. You're hitting a visual, you're hitting an auditory, and you're hitting the for me, you know, dancing is very much textural. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with that. It's about the movement in the space. It's about the emotion that it invokes. It's about, I mean, I think that's why when people say they feel emotional about something, it moves them. And truly that's what it is. It's about moving somebody. And so whether I'm inspiring somebody just to dance or I'm moving them emotionally, that's what the dancing is about. And so really it's about that partnership that Rogue and I have. And you know, he is very much in the understanding of the auditory, and who writes that auditory. And obviously, you know, he's such a dynamic performer himself. But I think once we added this element of dance, which is really my way of expressing my part in his music, and it becomes our project, that's what really completed it.
To try and contribute within a cohesive manner in your own way.
Right.
Which kind of brings me to my next question. You actually play a menagerie of instruments, and my life is personally surrounded by musicians, flamenco guitarists, people who play electronic music, people who, I know a guy who plays the spoons. But, yeah, I've always been a dancer, though. I've always been, you know, my sister is a singer, and my mother was a singer, and people in my immediate family were all actresses and singers. But I've always been a dancer. And what I've noticed is in the musical world that I live in, at this time in my life, I personally feel like I don't want to really say I don't get any respect, because that's not true. But I don't always feel like that my performance is as appreciated as a musician's is. I think that a lot of people in my personal area have, they don't understand that as a dancer, as with being a musician, it does take a lot of practice. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of
I'd like to address that, and I think it's something I always tell my dancers when I bring them in, and that is there is no 100%. It's way beyond 100% as the dancers, and every year I try to improve and make it that much better and continually grow our performance as a unit, being the dancers. And I always tell them, you know, you're not going on stage with an instrument in your hand. You know, audiences have expectations, period. And their respect is given on those expectations. They've already heard this music. So they know if Johanna walks out on stage with a violin, she can play the violin. Not everyone can play the violin. Small percentages of the population can play the violin. If, you know, Mike walks out with a guitar, not everybody can play the guitar. So it's you're standing there with an instrument that's automatic respect because people are already familiar with what you can do. As dancers, our body is our instrument. Everybody has a body. Everybody can move. And so a lot of people think I can do that. And a lot of people would never even try some of the stuff that we do. But I think it's a little bit frustrating as a dancer because we are limited by the fact that we're on a stage with musicians. And the kind of dancing that we do is limited by our space constraints. It's limited by the fact that we have body mics on and we're trying to sing at the same time. And there's so many other choreographies that I come up with in my head and I would love to see to some of this music if I could just do dancers, if I just had a stage and I could get these amazing dancers and do all kinds of acrobatic and this impressive stuff that you see in just dance performances. So for me it's kind of a fine line that I have to draw on what I can incorporate that people will understand the kind of training that the dancers that I bring in have and the kind of passion that we have for what we do without forgetting the fact that we are part of the band. So yes, we're dancers, but our greater unit is this band. And so that's kind of what it is. It's kind of a melding, and it can be a little bit frustrating at times. But I think that's where you're having a frustration because you don't have that automatic respect that people will give a musician, you know. And I don't think it's necessarily the case. I think it's just that exactly that people are familiar with their body. They're not familiar with this external piece of something that people can do themselves with. That's all.
I was wondering if, as with your playing instruments and being a dancer, if you've ever, I mean, does it feel that way to you? Do you see a difference, or
Well,
you just want to dance?
well, kind of. That's pretty much it. I actually auditioned first on guitar, and I approached them saying I want to dance, and Rome said, "Well, we actually need a guitarist, and I know you play." And I was like, "Yeah, but I want to dance." But I did the audition, and it went well. And I said, "Okay, but I still want to dance. You're not. I want to dance." So I had the opportunity to be that respected musician. Like I walk on the stage and I have a guitar, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, she plays the guitar." But for me, it's just a love of dance that it doesn't matter to me that sometimes fans might not consider the dancers part of the band, or I might not have as much respect as a musician. I get to get up on stage for 2 hours and move the audience with me, and that, more than anything, is what I want. So.
This brand is forged to my crew.